Hi, it's Olivia, and today I'll be talking about some of the books that I read in December. I probably had the most fun reading these graphic novels. I had known that they existed for a long time, but I never owned them, and I was gifted them for Christmas. And from the moment I started, wait, that's not the first one, whatever the part one is, it's called The Promise, and it takes place immediately following the finale of the show, which I love. I will say that as they went on, there were times where I kept thinking, like, would this character be doing this right now? Or like, does this make sense for, like, I don't know if I could really see some of these issues that came about really happening. But aside from that, they brought pure joy and entertainment to me, so I would just recommend this to any fan out there who watched the show and was really feeling like they want more from our beloved characters. I also read Know My Name by Chanel Miller, and this was a pretty groundbreaking book that came out last year because it was the reveal of Chanel's identity. She had previously been known just as the victim in the Brock Turner case, and especially gained attention after she put out a victim statement a few years back. And this memoir, it speaks to so many things. She gives you her complete story, but it's so insightful. I was trying to think of one word to describe this book, and it was insightful. It was insightful to how she was treated. It was insightful to how just everything was handled with the case. It was so insightful to the justice system and handling sexual assault cases. And then of course she uses this as an opportunity to speak on a lot of things. Like, I was wondering as I was reading this, I started to think, I wonder if she's gonna talk about that event or that movement that in recent years, and she speaks on everything, and she is on point with everything that she says. But I wanted to mention a part that kind of took me aback because I did not realize the book was also going to talk about this. But she attended UC Santa Barbara, and at the time when she first stated that, I didn't make the connection of the timing from when she was there and the fact that she was in the area when there was the shooting with Elliot Rogers, or whatever his name is, don't really care. I just put in my notes, I think when I was reading, I just put wow, because I did not realize the impact that had also on her, and especially in how it ties into how she viewed men like him. If you know anything about that shooting, you can understand immediately why she was talking about it as well in this book, and it just really, that is the part that will like stick in my mind probably the longest. The only thing I could say is that sometimes the book feels a little long, but then I realize also that's because the process of everything that she's going through just takes a long time. And so nonetheless, I highly recommend this read, and I'm so glad that I read it. This next book is called Don't Call Us Dead by Danez Smith. I believe I talked about this before. Also, all of these books are very different from one another. It's like a variety month, if you will. But anyway, this poetry collection is passionate and at times intense and raw. This quote on the back by Roxane Gay I thought just really summed it up. There is such intelligence and fervor in these poems about black men and their imperiled bodies, gay men and their impassioned bodies, what it means to be HIV positive, and so much more. Really, this packs in a lot. It's really small, and it packs in a lot, and I love the organization of some of the poems. I would say a majority of these poems I really enjoyed or impressed me. Not every single one of them was a favorite, but I mean, like, look at even the structure of I don't know if it's blurred. I know this poem gets a lot of attention, and I think I've mentioned it, but I think it's my favorite in the collection, so that's why I'm going to keep talking about it. But it's called Dinosaurs in the Hood, and it's amazing. If I could find a clip or something of Danez reading that, I will insert that somewhere, but I was blown away by that. And the last book I have to talk about is The Forgotten Girl by India Brown. Finally read this. This is like a middle grade kind of spooky read about these two friends who stumble upon an abandoned grave, which turns out to be an abandoned cemetery, and it's a blacks only cemetery. So it really goes into like segregated like the history of segregated cemeteries, and the grave that they found of this young girl ends up she shows up as a ghost in Iris's life, and it was just very I really like how India tied that in with how Iris was feeling forgotten in certain elements of her home and in school, and you'll see what I mean when I say forgotten. I was interested in what they were researching and what was going on with this ghost, but also I love the little bits and pieces that just really highlighted being a black girl. I don't know, I feel like there's just elements that were written in, like about how she has her braids with her beads. She would wait for her mom to put on her scarf at night, and I just, those little moments, you know, I was like, oh, I relate to that. Oh, the braids with the beads. Like, I wore my hair in braids and beads forever, so I loved seeing that. And this is a book that I would honestly recommend to any middle grade class, like the target audience of, I'm sure, like middle schoolers, middle grade readers, but also you could be any age, and if you have interest in a middle grade book, if what I said sounds interesting, pick it up. So that's basically it for this video. I did have this one book that I started on the very last day of the year, A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay, but I only finished it today, so I will be talking about this some other time in the future. But that's all I have. Let me know your thoughts on anything, and I will see you in another video. Bye!